I am going to start my introduction on my item, the three-phase plan for community response to protest, calling for reforms to address racial inequality and race discrimination by, frankly, making an apology. I never thought I would hear the words tear gas in the same sentence as the word Fredericksburg. I am personally sorry. The people in our streets on the night of May 31st were motivated to protest by righteous anger and genuine pain. I know that the use of tear gas shocked and frightened them horribly. I apologize to those who went through this fearful experience. We are doing a thorough investigation of the events of May 31st and the first week of June, and we will provide a full report to the community. Meanwhile, our police officers and our sheriff's deputies continue to serve our community, protecting public safety while respecting the First Amendment rights of those requesting change. These events of recent days and weeks represent a legitimate and honest outcry against racial discrimination, which does exist and has existed for far too long in this country. We continue to struggle as a nation to realize our promise of equality. We as a council are making a commitment to listen and to make real, lasting change. We are adopting a plan of action, and we are calling upon the whole community to work with us. This is a citywide effort, and we are up to the task. Here in Fredericksburg, we hear the message of those who are protesting, as well as the many members of our community who have addressed me and addressed all of you on the council and our managers by email and phone call and letter. We appreciate the sincerity of the message. It is only with mutual love of our city and mutual concern for its future that we will address racial injustice and discrimination in all forms. Before us tonight is a plan to respond to the calls for reform to address racial inequality and race discrimination. The plan has three phases. The first and immediate phase is goals and actions occurring in the next 3 to 6 weeks. The focus here will be on a complete review of use of force reports and incident command reports of the events of May 31st through the first week of June. The city's actions will also be subject to an independent external review. This will result in a full report to the community. At the same time, during this phase, we will be identifying proposed criminal justice reforms and making recommendations. Other goals in this period of time include forming an incident management team. As always, our highest priority is to maintain the safety of our citizens and to support our police officers and sheriff's deputies as they do so. Continued mutual de-escalation will be the key. The next immediate phase, the end of June through August, is to generate actionable proposals for the community. This will include any legislative proposals from the GOP special session in August. The GOP, the General Assembly. Oh boy, what a typo. Let me go back. This will include any legislative proposals from the General Assembly's special session in August, where we do expect them to address reforms. The goal here is to engage the community as well as in potential criminal justice reform proposals. At this point, the last phase is an ongoing one that may be ongoing for some time because it becomes strategic. Addressing racial injustice and discrimination as it exists will be the focus of the council's strategic retreat in October. Every 2 years after an election, the council has a retreat, identifies its goals and objectives, reviews its vision. And we will focus at this point on addressing these matters, this particular issue. We will also hold one or a series of whole of communities meetings on the topic of manifestations of racial inequality, which will be held throughout the entire city. We want to involve our organizations, our institutions, our citizens, and many different ages as well. What I've given you is a brief summary of the plan that is before us. There is much more detail embedded in it. We discussed this plan. We discussed this plan in our work session last Thursday. It is doable. It involves the entire community. It proposes to address problems that have existed for too long, but that we here in our small part of the world can honestly face and work together to solve. I open the floor to the council. This is presented as a resolution, so it is an actionable item. Councilor Fry.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. And my comment, just a comment to add for the resolution. And folks know how protective and how much I love the city itself. And I just want to say this publicly. The biggest thing that has to be done is listening, a lot of listening. I have personal experiences myself where in my life in the city that the listening part didn't work. So I'm just putting that out there because it's like when things get too far gone, then it's like time to fix things. But there are things that happen all the time that can be fixed, and that's with anything. So I just wanted to point that out. Also, I know what the goal of the council is, and I think, you know, I know that we all on the same page to try to fix some things. But some things could be too sensitive, like going on a tour of the city to discuss racial matters, or what's wrong here or what's wrong here. Some of it's self-explanatory. I think once we all start talking about these issues, that, you know, it'll probably be some agreeing. I can point, just for instance, the fact that there's no sidewalk that leads you to Celebrate Virginia to Riverside Manor. There are all kinds of things that pop up in my head just as we speak. I mean, you have a community that's in one area, quote unquote, low income community who doesn't even have access to get to Wegmans, but we promote Wegmans. So it's all kinds of things that I think we're going to be tapping into as a council, and it's right here in our face. And a lot of it has been brought up. And I know, like I said, I'm not trying to get off track, but there are a lot of little things out here that right here. So it's kind of, I think it's going to take just a great deal of listening. And for the organizations or anybody that wants to be a part, I've seen this happen a lot of times where groups, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. Where groups try to hijack a situation and make it their own and see how they can tell us what to do as a city. But I know for a fact that over the last 3 weeks, a lot of groups, organizations have been silent. And I'm going to say that again. A lot of groups and organizations have been silent in the city. And these are the crucial times where we needed folks, you know, to help. So I'm not down for folks coming in for a position or to sit at the table and say, I'm sitting at the table, because it's not beneficial. It's more of a distraction. So if your heart is in it, whoever you are, if you've never been involved in city issues or how to help in the city, you may be the ones we need at the table as well. I just don't agree with folks who hold titles or smile just to say I was in the room, because it's not beneficial. It's actually what hurts us. And, you know, for folks to come up and then say, well, these issues have been happening for a long time. I think it's the city's responsibility to listen and look back on the past at some things, you know, of options that things we could have fixed. So without going too deep, Mayor Greenlaw, those are some things in this resolution that I want to point out because, you know, everybody has the right idea when it's not their idea, but we know what's been happening for the last 3 weeks. And a lot of folks have been silent. So if you were silent then, you may want to remain silent and let the folks who care jump in. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw.
Thank you, Councilor Fry. Councilor Devine.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to thank staff for all the work that went into this plan because it's a short-term plan that leads us to a longer-term solution, we hope. And I appreciate Councilor Fry talking about, you know, taking a seat at the table. We need to hear from people. We need to listen, and people in the community need to listen. We need to be able to have a true dialogue, and a true dialogue involves both speaking and listening, but we really do need to be able to move forward. I'm looking forward to moving really from protest to policy. I think that's where we're headed, and I think that's where we should be headed. And, you know, we can point fingers and say that shouldn't have happened, this should have happened, and you know, about policies that Fredericksburg may have had or the nation may have had, but I really do feel like we have a lot of opportunity to listen and absorb and be creative in how to move forward. And so that's again, that's where I hope we're headed, from protest to policy change that is in the best interest of everybody in our community. So thank you.
Councilor Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wanted to discuss briefly, I believe there was a proposed amendment to 2.10. You know, as the plan exists for the public, right now it says discuss obtaining third-party review of law enforcement actions. But I know that we have also received an amendment that would delete that draft language and substitute obtain an independent third-party review of the city's response to protests on May 31st through and including June 2nd of 2020. And so I would like to move to approve the plan as amended.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Further discussion, Councilor Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo the comments of Ms. Fry and Ms. Devine. I appreciate how important it is for us to listen and to move forward productively to change the way we do things and not just talk about it. So I'm eager to roll up my sleeves and do what needs to be done. And there's a lot of work to do. We know that. And I want to thank the movement for forcing us to look at the lives we lead and what it's like to live in the city of Fredericksburg. And as I said, I hope that we can make the issue of white privilege something that's gone in the dustbins of history, but it's going to take a lot of work. I also want to thank the mayor for her formal apology. You certainly spoke for me when you said that as a community, we owe that to our residents. There's no doubt that mistakes were made, and we're going to work together, I pray, to put us on a better footing going forward. But thank you.
Is there any further comment? Well, I want to thank the city manager, Mr. Baruti, and his staff for putting together this plan, and our city attorney, Ms. Dooley, for her assistance. I believe in it. It's workable. It's doable, and we will use this opportunity to take a good look at ourselves and move forward and address these issues and make steps to make it better. We all know we are dealing with generations of well, as James Baldwin said, several generations. We may indeed be running out of time, but we need to seize the moment and make the best of it and work together so that we can ferret out the practices or the policies or the habits that do foster racial injustice and discrimination, and remove them from this community in every way that we possibly can. So I appreciate this. I appreciate the work of the staff and the council. And it's going to be a lot going forward, but it's going to be good work. And thank you, Chuck, for pointing out the silent groups. We need leadership here. We need folks to step forward and become engaged. And I think they will. So we have a motion and we have a second. All right, Madam Clerk.
Councilor Graham.
Yes.
Councilor Duffy.
Yes.
Councilor Devine.
Yes.
Councilor Fry.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Withers.
Yes.
Mayor Greenlaw.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.